Hello, my music-loving friends. We are getting deep into theory here. Open up your book. And if you did what I asked you to, then in your secret pocket, you have this piece of paper. And if you don't, you need to go back and remake the piece of paper where you folded it in half 3 times in each direction and then cut it in half. But I'm going to assume you did what you were supposed to. I'm going to set aside the theory book for the moment. And we are going to do a bunch of cutting and gluing here. All right, so I'm turning this portrait orientation because it's easiest to cut that way. And we're going to cut 4 even strips right along these fold lines. So cut here, cut here, cut here. Let's go ahead and do that. And be careful with your scissors. Right along the line as neatly as you can. I still maintain perfection is not required, but we want this to be precise. All right, so there's 1. Cutting the second one here. Have an imperfect cut there, y'all. All right. There's that one. We got 1 more cut to do. Be extra careful with your fingers here because this is the one that's the narrowest and the scissors are the closest to your fingers. Okay, success. So I have 4 little strips here. Now what I'm doing with these is I'm making kind of like a musical measuring tape. And it's going to show me all of the possible notes that can be played on any musical instrument. And before I can make my measuring tape, I need to make this into one long thing. I am quite confident once it's done, it won't all fit in the video. So I'm going to show you how to put it together, and then I'll kind of move along and show you how to do it. And as always, I'm going to do glue stick on one side and liquid glue on the other. But before I cut to that, when you put them together, you're going to be taking one of these sections and gluing it right on top of this section so that the edge of this one lines up with the fold on this one. We're trying to make basically one continuous line to the best of your ability, okay? And we're going to put all of these together in that way. All right, here we go. Okay, so I have my very long piece of paper in front of me here. And like I said, I won't have it all in view at one time, but I'll make sure that you can see the part that you need to see. So you have this long kind of measuring tape, and it's got all these little squares in it. You want to pay attention to those fold lines. This is going to line up with your violin diagram if you've done everything correctly in a way that's going to help you. It is important to know where all of the notes are on your instrument because you need to know which pitches to play. You may have gotten to a point in your playing where instead of putting your fingers in this kind of shape, you put them in this kind of shape. And that means that you're playing a low 2. Well, if you can play a low 2, then you can also play a low 1 and a high 3, and there are different variations on those finger patterns. Sometimes your fingers will look like this, sometimes they'll 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 look like this. There's so many different ways you can put your fingers on the instrument, But if you know where all of the notes are, it's not so hard to figure out. So the first thing you need to know is that there are 12 notes that we use in music. Only 12 letter names to think about, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to outline those on this little strip. We're going to make 2 sets of those 12 notes, and then over the course of a few videos, I'll show you how to apply that. Now, I desire color. So I'm going to choose to use green for what we call the natural notes. Now, if you did theory book 1, pulling out my theory book 1 here, then you learned the terms sharp, natural, and flat. When we say the name of a note and we just say the letter name, like a D or an A, that is the natural version of that note. We don't need to write the word natural. We don't need to write the symbol natural. There are times where we need that symbol, but we don't generally need it. The only ones that we're going to be using today are sharp and flat, and we will come back to those as we go. So now I'm back to my measuring tape here. And the first thing we're going to do is just put the natural notes on the measuring tape here. So in this first square, I'm going to write an A. Makes sense to start at the beginning of the alphabet, doesn't it? And it needs to take up a decent amount of space in that little rectangle, okay? Then skip a space, all right? In the next space after you've skipped, you're going to put a B. Okay, between B and C, no space. What? If you were to look at a piano, you would notice that there are 2 places in each group of keys, each octave of keys, if you will, where there's no black key. And that's first between a B and a C, and then I'll show you the other spot in a minute. But between C and D, there is a space, so leave a blank space. And then in the next rectangle after that, put a D. All right, leave a space. In the next section, put an E. And here it is. Here's that other place where we don't have any space in between. So right in this little section, and then in the very next one, put an F. All right, leave a space. And then in the next one, put a G. And then finally, leave a space, but we're gonna start over with A right here. Okay, let's do all the rest of the ones up through the next A. Okay, I'll talk you through it. Here we go. You have an A. Do you remember? You gotta leave a space. Okay, so leave a space and then put a B. And here's one of those spots, no space. So put a C here. Leave a space, put a D in the next one, leave a space, put an E in the next one, no space, put an F, leave a space, put a G, leave a space, put an A. Now, you may remember that I told you under no circumstances should you throw away any scrap of paper before I tell you. We are about to cut off a piece of this and you are not to throw it away because you will need it. And if you throw it away, you're just wasting something that you need. So right after this A that you just did, you're going to cut right on that line and you're going to save that bit of paper. You can put it right in your secret pocket.